good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are when you are watching this tutorial. Thank you and welcome to all my new subscribers. Thank you for the returning viewers. I so appreciate you. To all the not only subscribers, but to the members of my channel. Thank you. I so appreciate it. Well, was it a surprise to see that today I've got a knit tutorial, not a crochet tutorial? Well, you can expect anything, hey? So what I'm sharing with you today is what I think is a little gem. That's how I think of it. At the age of 7, I was taught how to knit at school, and we were taught on a pair of DPNs, which is double pointed needles. Every little girl was given a pair of DPNs in the class, and we were taught how to make this clothes hanger cover. Clothes hanger cover. It is a long name. Anyway, so in my house, what we do is we color code the hangers. So I went to each one and asked, Jessica, what color do you want your clothes hanger covers to be? She wanted white or pale blue. My son wanted turquoise. My husband wanted denim. In fact, any kind of blue. So this is a household of blue lovers, if you can see. And mine is peach or pink. So if my hanger is missing or I am out of hangers, I go to someone else's cupboard. And if I find a hanger that is not blue, it belongs to Mama. Thank you. I will have it back. That's an easy way to do it. What I like about these hangers, this hanger cover tutorial that I'm going to teach you, is that it is easy, number one, and it does not bulk up the hanger. The hanger is very slim, and it is so after this cover too. It's not padded, it's not fancy, and that is what I wanted in my cupboards because I'm a bit cramped for space. Anyway, so in this tutorial, I just teach you the knit stitch, which we call garter stitch. I hope you enjoy it. It is just 12 stitches and you just keep going. If you want to get back into knitting and you want to make a little project at the same time, there you go. This is it. And if not, you want to cover a hanger very quickly, this is what you do. Every time I go and I buy a batch of these, because they sell for 20 ZAR for a pack of 5 at our wool shop, which is about, at this point, 16 ZAR is $1. So it's just over $1. And then I sit and I would watch a movie and just be covering hangers. So I really love this. Anyway, so if you like the tutorial, please give it a thumbs up. Leave a comment. Tell me if you decided to make it pretty. Not the blues, but maybe yours is pink or red or whatever color, and you put a little flower on or a little bag with fragrant soap or whatever to make it smell nice. Tell me what you've done, and if you've enjoyed it, leave a comment. I would so appreciate it. Thank you so much. So let's get into this project and start. Thank you. So for today's tutorial, what we'll need is a wool needle, a pair of scissors, and a pair of 4mm knitting needles. You can use bamboo or metal. I prefer the DPNs, double pointed needles, DPNs. And for yarn, we're going to use scrap double knit, just 3-weight, any 3-weight that's lying around. That's what we're going to use today. So I'm just moving everything out of the way a little bit. And I'm going to use the DPNs. And this video is so that my daughter, who cannot knit, will be able to do this. I'm going to make a slip knot as I do in crochet. Taking one needle. And just like in crochet, I'm going to make a slip knot. So this tail end, I need a longer tail end.
Yes, first thing that I nearly forgot to say is give it a lovely, what is this, 20 centimeters, about half the size of the hanger is a tail end. Then make a slip knot. There you go. Just like I would with a crochet hook. The tail end and the needle I put in my left hand. And now, let me just move this a little bit back like this. I'm holding on to this with my left hand. In my right hand, what I've done is I've just held it like that. So if I don't have to think about it, that's what I do. You just wrap it around your pinky once. And in my right hand, the right hand needle, I put on the left side of the one and only stitch. Put it through. And I'm going to yarn over the needle and then hold on to my right hand needle. Then I take my index finger and with my right needle and my index finger of my left hand, I make sure that I bring that stitch through. And I pull it, and now I'm going to slip it onto my left hand needle, like that. First stitch is made, and we only need to make 12 stitches. So there's my stitch I've just made. So on the left hand of this stitch, I push the right hand needle in all the way through, right? Yarn over my needle with my left index finger. Just make sure that you bring that stitch through and slip it onto the left hand needle. Now I've got 3 stitches on my left hand needle, like that. Now again, every time we're going to do this, until we've got 12 stitches. That's the last stitch on this left hand needle. On the left of the stitch, push it through, like that. Yarn over. I slightly pull, just slightly, with my left hand index finger and my right needle. Just make sure that I bring that stitch through. You can pull it like this, doesn't matter. But then slip it off on the left hand needle and pull it a little bit, because it must look like a stitch. It mustn't look like one big loop. Now 4 stitches. So again, on the last stitch, left hand side of the last stitch, push my needle through, yarn over this needle, and with my left index finger and my right hand needle, they work together to make sure that I actually bring that stitch through. Bring it through and slip it onto the left hand, like that. Go as slow as you need to go to get this right. There we go. Again, my last stitch to the left of my last stitch. Push the needle through, your right hand needle through, yarn over with my left index finger and my right hand needle, and by pulling the yarn, however, to get the right gauge or tension, just make sure that you get that stitch to this side. Pull it and then slip it onto the left needle. That's the goal. The goal is to increase the stitches on the left needle. 3, 4, 5. We've halfway. We have 6 stitches. Now another one. On the left of the stitch, yarn over, index finger and needle, bring it through, and slip it onto the left hand needle. Lift off the last stitch, push the needle through, yarn over with index finger and needle, right hand side needle. Make sure you get that stitch, pull it and slip it onto the left hand like that, and then use your index finger to move it a little bit to the left. Now sometimes you can find that this is too tight, then your tension, you're too stressed. Just relax a little bit, yarn over and push it through. Make sure it's come out this side. You've got it. See, now you've got it. And slip it onto the left hand needle. How many do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We're nearly there. 9. On the left hand side of the last stitch, let me just get some more yarn and yarn over, grab that stitch, pull it, slip it on the left needle and just tighten it a little bit. There you go, little bit, tighten it a little bit and put the needle through on the left side of the last stitch, yarn over, and if you have to drop with one hand, take it around, then do that. You know, I mean, it doesn't matter how you do it. If that's how you do it, then that's how you do it. I was just taught different. Okay, like that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Last stitch. On the left hand side of the last stitch, put my needle through, yarn over, and there we go. Pull that stitch through. I've got the stitch and slip it off on my left needle. Done. Now we're going to start our work because we are going to make these lovely coat hangers, hanger covers. Now every stitch has a front loop and a back loop. That's the front loop on this side and the back loop on that side. So we are going to work in the front loop. So working in the front loop, push the needle through, yarn over, pull it back to see that you've got the stitch, which is close to what you've been doing up to now. But as it is there, then just glide it to the end of your left needle and off the needle. So we want all these stitches to be worked onto the right hand needle. Okay, stitch number 2, through the front loop, only through the front loop. So not through both, just through the front loop. Yarn over, and with my left index finger, which plays a big role, I just see to it that I've actually got the stitch. I've got you, baby, and slide it off the hook. And your left index finger is making sure that nothing else follows when it slides off the hook, that nothing that wasn't work also falls off actually. And again, through the front loop of that stitch only, yarn over, and with my index finger, left index finger, just push it back slightly, the right needle, work together to grab the stitch, and with my thumb, everything, I let the work slide off. That's what you want to do. If this is too slow for you, you can speed it up. Again, through the front loop, yarn over, pull it a little bit, and then just make sure with your left index finger that you've grabbed that stitch. Once you're sure you've got it, let it fall off onto the right needle because we want to get it all on the right needle. And again, yarn over, I've got it here. I'm pulling it on this side. I've got it, pulling it a little bit with my left index finger and my right needle working together. I make sure that I've actually got the stitch, and then I slide it off onto the right hand side needle. And now again through the front loop of that stitch, yarn over, and with my left index finger and my right hand needle working together, I grab the stitch and let it slide off. There we go. See, that's what's happening. We're working our first row. So continue working through the front loop, yarn over, grab the stitch, let it slide off the hook. Through the front loop, yarn over, grab the stitch, slide off the hook. Through the front loop, yarn over, grab the stitch, let it slide off the hook. Through the front loop, yarn over, grab the stitch, and let it slide off the hook. Only 2 more times. Through the front loop, yarn over and grab the stitch. Just wiggle it a little bit if you want it to be looser, and let it slide off. Everything slides off onto the right needle. Last stitch. Through the front loop, which is, there we go, yarn over, grab the stitch and let it slide off, and that's all you're left with. You've got nothing else to show except that's it. The first row is worked. Pull this a little bit, just pull it into place. Now we're going to do the second row. In this little project, fortunately, we're not counting rows. Now I want to show you a little trick to get a very smooth edge on each side, which is what I prefer. The way to get a very smooth edge on one side is not to work the first stitch, but to just let it slip off. So when you slip the stitch off and you work the rest, when you turn your work and you come back, it'll be the last stitch and you will actually work it. And that's how it gets worked up, not left behind, and it makes progress. But just slip it off. So I'm putting my right hook, and this is not crochet, my right needle through the front loop, slide it off, slide the stitch onto the right needle. Then right needle through the front loop of the stitch on the left needle, yarn over, which we've been doing now a lot, and with my left index finger again, just make sure I've got the stitch, slide it off onto the right needle. Needle again through the front loop of the stitch, yarn over, and with my index finger, I remain having control of the situation. I make sure I've got the stitch like that, slide it off onto the right side. Right needle through the front loop, yarn over, with my left index finger, make sure I've got that stitch, slide it off onto the right. There we go. Through the front loop, right needle through the front loop, yarn over, with left index finger, push the needle, make sure you've got the stitch, pull it a little bit if you need to, slide the stitch off onto the right needle. With the right needle again, through the front loop, yarn over, with the left index finger, make sure you've got that stitch. Once you've got it, slide it off. Now it's on the right needle. There we go. There we go, and I'm doing it very slowly. Through the front loop, yarn over, bring the stitch through, slip it onto the right needle. Right needle through the loop, yarn over. With left finger, make sure you've got that stitch, slide it off the left needle onto the right needle. Through the front loop, yarn over, and with the right needle and the left index finger, make sure you've got that stitch, slide it off the hook. There we go. Through the front loop and yarn over, and with the left index finger and the right needle working together, make sure you've got that stitch. Once you've got it, slide it off the hook. Work the last stitch through the front loop, yarn over, and you've got the stitch. And now this time you slide it off the hook, or you can say you pull out your left needle, whichever way. There you go. Second row is worked. Now we're going to do the third row. Now remember, you do not work the first stitch because we want a smooth edge. There we go. So I'm going to put my right needle. We're going to do the same thing now. Right needle through the front loop, but this is the first stitch. So we just want to slip the stitch. We're not going to work it, we slip it. So through the front loop and slip it off the left needle onto the right needle. So we didn't work this stitch. Now we work the second stitch. Through the front loop, yarn over, make sure you have that stitch, slip it off onto the right needle. Right needle through the front of the loop on the left needle, yarn over, make sure you've got that stitch when you bring it back, and slip it off onto the right needle. So there we go. Exactly what you've been doing in the previous row. And now you just continue. I am just going a little bit faster so that you can see. I'm still going slow, but I'm going a little bit faster than we've been going up to now. If you need to watch the first however many minutes again to get the hang of this, then do it. This is how I was taught at the age of 7, and we did many strips like this. And my last stitch I work, there we go. This is the stitch that wasn't worked in the previous row, but now it's worked, remember? So just, oh, it looks beautiful. And the next row, I want to say round, row, there we go. Now you're just going to continue. Remember, do not work the first stitch. So just put it through the front loop, your right needle through the front loop of that stitch, and slip it off onto the right needle. Then put your right needle through the front loop of the stitch on the left needle, yarn over, make sure you've got the stitch, slip it off. Through the front loop, yarn over, make sure you've got the stitch, slip it off. Through the front loop, yarn over, make sure you've got the stitch, slip it off. Through the front loop, yarn over, make sure you've got the stitch, slip it off. Through the front loop, yarn over, make sure you've got the stitch, slip it off. Needle through the front loop, yarn over, make sure you've got the stitch, slip it off. I hope you're getting it right, and if you don't, just relax. The tension should be right. If it's too tight, and it's not slipping as smooth as mine, it means that your tension is too tight. You need to relax your grip on the needles. You need to work a little bit more loose. If the work is too loose, it means you need to tighten your grip a little bit. The thing with knitting is to get the tension right. If the tension is right, you're going to get it right. Okay, so now you're going to continue working like that for a bit. And then I will show you what we do because, yes, then I'll show you the next step. Okay, there we go. So what's happening is I have now made a lovely stretch. Now you see how straight that edge is. Can you see how straight this edge and that edge is? And that's what you want. That's why you do not work the first stitch. Okay, so now I'm going to show you what I do. So take your wool needle. We're not done yet, right? But at this point, after I've just done X amount, about half of this, just over half of this hanger, this is what I do. Okay. Take your wool needle, thread it in here. There we go. Now I'm just going to, okay, let me come closer, like this. I'm just going to fold this in half to see that's where I need to be. Like that. So I'm just working. I'm actually just making my way to the halfway mark of this side. Shall we call it a side? Like this. Let me see. Yes. Now what I do is I worked till halfway. Now the fun starts. So now I'm just going to work it like this, from that side into this side, and I'm working nice and tight. I'm connecting, joining the two, like that, right? Joining, come on. In the one side, why is the needle thick or what is happening? And then on the corner there, on the corner, just connecting beautifully. No, don't fall out here. Just, okay, and now, can you see? I'm lining them up so that it's ridge across ridge, ridge across ridge, ridge across ridge. And I'm just working it like that. So I'm working between the ridges. You can see what I'm doing. All right. So this is what we're doing. Between the two ridges. And I try to just grab that first little bump. Just one stitch, that's all I want. Okay, like this. Continue, lovely and tight. This needs to be tight. If your work has been too tight up to now, this is the one place it can be tight. Tight and tight. And now I'm going to just work on the same spot, like 3 stitches on the same spot, and again on the same spot, and a third time, I think it's a third time on the same spot. You can work 3 times on the same spot. Okay, let go. Now what you do is you turn this inside out. Put your finger in there and turn it inside out. Yes, like that. Make very sure that everything is inside out, like that. Now, take your hanger And you're just going to, so this is what you're going to be doing every time until this hanger is finished. This must be where I connected it, must be at the bottom here, right? So you're just going to pull tight, nice and tight. And if you hold it like this, you can see they just barely touch on the sides. Doesn't matter, does not matter. Just pull it past so you can see. So that's where you start. You could work it. There we go. Pull up to there to see how much do you still have to go. And now you can sort of say to yourself, how much do you still have to go? Like that. Keep that count, take it there, and let's just count. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. I'm only counting the ridges. 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, 26, 28 rows. About 28 rows to go still. And then this would be done. Right? So you can take it off or you can leave it hanging. I'll just take it off like that. Do another 28 rows. And then I see you again. So you're now just going to continue with the work as it is there. Never mind that it's hanging like that. You're going to just continue. Skip your first stitch. Work in the second stitch. This is how I work. And you're just going to continue with this while you're watching your movie. You're just going to continue working your lovely garter stitch, knit, 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 all the way. I love doing these clothes hanger covers. I've got to think carefully before I say that. Skip the first stitch, just slip it off, don't work it. Slip it onto the opposite needle, the right hand side needle, and work every stitch, work every stitch. Now I did show it slowly in the beginning. So just continue, work as many rows as you need to. You see, we're not counting rows because we are stretching this baby to fit. So we're not counting rows. Okay, there we go. Pull it. You can pull it every 3, 4 rows. You can pull it like this. Just this thing is going to be stretched for life. Okay, see you when we're nearly done. Okay, so now what I did was, you can either put it in there, or I just put my finger in there and held it over this to see, is it big enough? And it is big enough because there's a lot of stretch. So now we're going to cast off. So how do we cast off? So I've only got 12 stitches to show you how to cast off. So I'm going to, well, I don't work the first stitch, right? So slip it onto the right hand needle. The second stitch, I'm just going to work as normal through the front loop, bring it and work it onto the second. But now you don't continue working like normal. With your left hand needle, you just slip or hook that stitch furthest from you and bring it over with help. Your index finger will help over the first one. Now you've got one stitch. You take the first stitch on the left needle through the front of the stitch, the front loop, not the back loop. Work a normal stitch like you would have up to now. Slip it onto the right hand needle. Take the left hand needle, take the stitch at the back and bring it over the stitch at the front. Just take that stitch, lift it, just loosely hold on the tension here so that both don't land off, and make sure you've got the stitch off. And this should be done loosely. Don't be hang on too tight. Okay, through the front loop, just work the stitch as normal. Slip it off onto the right hand needle. Now, left hand needle, take it, lift up that stitch, bring it over the front stitch, like that, and done. That is how you end off. Through the front loop, yarn over, and you've got the stitch, slip it off onto the right hand needle, left hand needle, pick up the back stitch and bring it over, slip it over the front stitch. That is how you cast off. So work the stitches normal with the left hand needle, just lift the stitch at the back and bring it over the front stitch, like that. Again, work the stitch as normal, left hand needle, take that stitch at the back and bring it over the front stitch. And again, tension is very important. It shouldn't be too tight. So just relax. If you're holding on for dear life, take a deep breath and just relax. Just relax. There we go. And this is a lovely little project because it's only 12 stitches that you work, and you're practicing your garter stitch, but you're also making something. And this is how I make it in my house, because you know, we are not going to be losing clothes hangers. We know the white ones belong in Jessica's cupboard. The turquoise ones belong in Jonathan's cupboard, and the denim ones belong in Craig's cupboard. That's my last stitch. Work it as normal. Take the back stitch, bring it over the front stitch. I've got one stitch on the needle. Take your scissors and now leave a nice long edge strand here, at least as long as the hanger is long, because we're now going to continue working it. Okay, now what do we do with this one stitch? You're going to bring the yarn over as you would on a crochet hook, as I would on a crochet hook, and I just bring it through and pull it through all the way, all the way, all the way, and there we go, secure. Right. Okay, needles to one side, grab the wool needle. The one thing I should have said, I think maybe I left that out, I should have said that is, when you do this, it is better if this, where you started out, if that is not too long. Maybe if it's just that much, a little bit less than I actually did it. You'll see why just in a little bit. Okay, so we're going to do the same as we did here on the other side. We're just going to walk. I say walk. But you're going to work your end. I'm just going to slip it every second stitch, just to get to the halfway mark. That's where my nail is, and I'm just going to slip it right up to there. You can see it's just loosely. There we go. And then we start getting serious. Okay, so this is the right side now. Wait. So this is, I must make sure both, this is the wrong side. I must make sure if this is the wrong side, that this is also on the wrong side. So just fold it, just make sure both are on this, that I'm in both cases working on the wrong side. Okay, right? So now we're going to do this. And I'm just going to work twice in the same stitch, just to secure it. Okay, and through and through. Just make it look pretty. Doesn't have to be perfect. It's going on a clothes hanger. It's going into your cupboard. That's where it's going to live. This is for functionality. And on the corner and the corner. Okay, now I'm just going to turn it so that it's, see, there's the first one. That's that side. Now I'm going to work. There's the 2 bumps, 2 bumps, 2 bumps. I'm going to work between the 2 bumps. Between the 2 bumps, right? So let's just start that side. And then between the 2 bumps. Like that. And between the 2 bumps. And all I'm grabbing is literally the first stitch and the first stitch, right? Like that. And I'm literally just grabbing the first and the first between the bumps. So now you're going to see how it works out. And I'm just going to do a little bit, just a little bit. Okay. Let's say a little bit. What is a little bit? The first, let's just count the bumps. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 bumps that you can see. Okay. So now we're going to turn it. Okay, wait, let me just work a second one on the same spot to sort of secure it. Okay. Turn it inside out. Put your finger in there and turn it inside out. And on the other side as well, turn it inside out so that you're on the right side. Now we're working on the right side. Okay, now we need to find the center. Okay, so I'm going to pull both sides because what I need to find very much is the center here. The center. Like that. And I'm stretching both, so it really cannot be fairer than that. That's the center. So now what I'm doing, I don't need to put a place stitch marker there. I'm just holding it. You can place a stitch marker there, but that spot right there is what needs to go right there. Right there. And put it through. Right. Now you're going to pull, which is why I said I shouldn't have worked as much as I did. Just makes life a little bit harder, and actually, in fact, so harder that I need to undo a little bit of it because it's making it life too hard. It's making life too hard. Let me just undo that little bit off the camera. Okay, so once I found where it was, I'm just pulling it, undoing it a little bit. See, now you've learned through my mistake. Only do that first little bit. Otherwise, the job is too difficult. Okay, now what we do is, there, the center is marked. Pull it and put that front or that side over. Like that. Yes. Dress it. It's like you're dressing the hanger. See. Now you have to do this side. And stretch, baby, stretch. So that's what we've done there. Now we're going to stretch, baby, stretch. Let me just help it. Help it in there. Fortunately, it is very stretchy. Oh, even that has its limits. Okay, so I need to go a little bit back. Go just a little bit back. One has to realize when you've made a mistake. And now you see me making it on screen and you can realize that's all I need to do. See, I just pull it a little bit and it comes apart. Pull it, pull it. It just needs a stitch or two and it'll get, there we go. Let's try that. Yes, I think that's going to do it. Yes. And it's over. It's like putting on a sock on a hanger instead of on a foot. There we go. Beautiful. So this is what it looks like at this moment. You work that little bit. Now you see that I've done it too much. Let's count. I think you can do the first 1, 2, 3, 4 ridges. If you do the 5 ridges, the first 5 ridges, you should be safe. That's a good way of measuring. Okay, there we go. Now, thread your wool needle again. Now, let me see if I can do this on camera like this. Pull it tight. This one is on that side. Now, I'm just going to pull this and pull this. Now, all you need to do is you just continue working through on this side of the, between the 2 bumps. A stitch on that side and a stitch on this side. Between the 2 bumps. And I'm just working like that. Is it whip stitch? Is that what they call it? Let me adjust the camera. I'm adjusting the camera because obviously I need to work off the table here. Like that. And that is all you're going to be doing. You're going to pull each side up and use your needle if you want to up this side. And then work just between ridges. Like that. Just between the ridges. Like that. Beautiful. You can hardly see where it has been sewn. I've just adjusted the camera more. And you just push it up with your nails so that they meet. Yes, it is pulling, but that is what you want. You want it to be a lovely, tight covering. Because everything, you don't, if it's not tight enough, it will stretch and hang too loose, like that. Hope you can see there. And then just push it up with your nails so that it meets. And keep on working like that. Like that. Like that. Yay! I love this process the best when I'm done with it. Oh, look how beautiful it looks. It is such a lovely covering. And it doesn't take up more space. I mean, if this was bulky, you can put padding and then work this. But I prefer not to do it because I don't want to bulk up my cupboard. I want my hangers to be as slim as they can be. Okay, so now I'll see you once I get here. Okay, I've come right up to here. There's a little bit of opening left still. So now I'm just going to work like that. And I'm working 1, 2, 3 times in the same stitch. And then there's a little bit left and I just put that on the inside. Just work on the inside. See, there it comes out. Like that. And that little bit that I left out there is what I can snip off. Now on this side, this was the little bit that we actually pulled out. And now I'm just going to thread that through. And you see that little bit of a hole there? So I'm just going to continue and do that. And then that is done. 1, 2, 3 times on the same spot. And then there's a little bit left. And I just work it in again like that. And just take it up this hanger and push it out the other side like that. Pull. Yay! That's all I've got left. Let me adjust the camera back to where it was. And that's what we've created. We have successfully covered. Oh, I love it. I love to touch it like this. It's a beautiful covering, and it's so tight. When a dress with spaghetti straps is going to hang on this, it'll catch on those ridges and it will absolutely not slip off this hanger. I am so proud of this, and I hope you are too. And this is just such a fun way to just practice your garter stitch, practice your knitting, get back into knitting, just cover a hanger. So there, that's Craig's denim blues. Turquoise is for Jonathan, white is for Jessica, and I like pinks and peaches in my cupboard. Anyway, thank you so much for watching this. If you enjoyed this tutorial, please give it a thumbs up. If you like to hang out socially, please join us on a Monday and a Friday when I do a 3-hour live stream. Bring your project and your cup of coffee or tea. Hang out with us. Tune in for however long you can. And I hope to see you. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.